Welcome back to the Coach Emery Show. I'm your host, Coach Emery, aka Emery McMillan, and today I have with me a super genius, a super dope individual. She don't even know that I was going to say any of that. However, the work that she does and the things that she does are super incredible, super helpful to multiple platforms. And I want to have her explain some of those things. But really quickly, Kenyana, David, introduce yourself to the people, and then I'm going to dive in with a bunch of questions like I always do. And I got a lot of questions for you today.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, the introduction. So my name is Kenyana, and I am the founder of 8118, which is a boutique marketing firm specializing in email marketing, and the creator of the Female Marketing, also known as the Femme Academy, which is a year-round e-school serving female entrepreneurs, particularly coaches, consultants, and advisors, and teaching them how to make money with email. So those are my primary jams. Very involved in the academic space as well as the entrepreneurial space here in Buffalo.
Awesome. Well, first off, thank you for that. And it sounds like you have a lot going on. I want to dig into something you mentioned because we live in a world of technology. And if you have a phone, a computer, iPad, iPod, whatever, you got to use the email. And what comes to your phone or your device every single day that you don't know how it got there at all. And that's email marketing. And a lot of the people who watch this show are entrepreneurs like myself. And some of them, right? I don't want to say us. Some of them don't fully understand the power of email marketing. And it sounds like you have a really good handle on that. So I want you to tell me what exactly made you want to go into the industry of email marketing or creating any kind of program that helps people with email marketing.
So I am not a hard sell, right? I don't like those awkward transactional conversations. They're awkward to me if they're transactional. I'm all about inbound, right? Bringing folks to me by way of content and having authentic and genuine conversations. So when it came to digital marketing, I appreciate them all, ad, referrals, social, SEO. I appreciate them all, but email, it's a different type of conversation, right?
Right.
It's more connecting. It's more genuine. So at first, I was very high level, right? Did a lot of digital marketing, and finally with email, it was like, you know what, this is more my jam. I like having conversations. I like sharing things with a small group of folks, especially being private. And I started going to different email conferences and summits and getting involved in email communities. I was like, yeah, this is it. This is it. And then looking at my numbers on the back end, that's where my money was coming from email. It wasn't, for me, it wasn't social media. It wasn't, website things. It was from emails. I was able to build that know, like, trust factor faster. And it lasted much longer than kind of like spaghetti on the wall when I was trying social media, because a lot of stuff didn't stick. So
Right.
don't tell
Right.
nobody.
I won't
It
tell
didn't
them.
stick for me. It didn't stick for me.
They're gonna watch and hear. But so I think that a question that I would have. Well, first I want you to clarify something that you said. I have my Sharpie, so I wrote it down. When you
Okay.
said at first you were high level, can you explain what that means?
So when I first started 8118, so 8118 is 4 years old.
Mm-hmm. What is
And
tell people what 8118 is in its entirety.
so it's a boutique marketing firm. So I serve entrepreneurs and small business owners. So I do that directly with the academy. I also do some additional work that are not, focused only on female. And I connect with organizations and schools and universities and colleges and things like that to connect with those folks. And then I also work with organizations that have some areas of opportunity with email. So it's a boutique marketing firm, but it specializes in email marketing, with more of an alignment with a done with you as opposed to a done for you service. So it's a lot of teaching, a lot of um, lesson esque work.
Right. So when a client becomes, so when someone becomes a client, your goal is not to have them forever. Your goal is to kind of teach them how to do it and then send them on their way after a certain amount of time.
Right, right,
Okay.
right. It's all about empowerment, being able to do it on your own, know what you need to do, what works for you, how to figure out your jam, um, and me just being a supporting role. When you get it, um, and I learned something new, I can support you in that way, but no, not forever. You
I
know,
like
uh,
that because
yeah,
a lot of companies, their whole goal is to how can they get you on the hook and then you die on the same hook. You know what I mean? They'll
right,
show you a little bit, but just enough to get you to the next thing you need them for. It's not like, hey, let me show you how to do this and then make sure you can, walk, run, and then fly, and now you're on your own. There's always a lifetime subscription. Is all of these things, and those things kind of really make me cringe because I feel like a lot of it is, if you can teach me, if I can learn it, let me learn it, and then make sure I know it and send me on my way. I don't feel like some of these things need to be as forever as they make it seem. Most of them don't need to be that way.
right,
Lifetime memberships and things like that. So I love the fact that you are about the empowerment, that you focus on what's best for the entrepreneur or business and not just what's best for your revenue at the end of the day, because that's integrity, right? To me. So I appreciate that. And so when we talk about high level marketing, um, are you talking about just like everything from posting and ads, all of it included, and then you kind of scale down into just email marketing as your thing that worked for you best?
right. So when I first started, and I apologize, because I know you asked me differently, and I answered not the way you probably intended, but
No, that's cool.
um, so when I was high level, that was everything digital marketing, and it was something that I loved. That's when I wrote the first book on it, and I thought that was great, but there was a gap in um, connection with folks, because if someone didn't know what digital marketing was, they automatically said social media, and I didn't know how to navigate those conversations, right,
Right.
in a way that ultimately led to conversion, right? So and then also it was a heavy lift, because to know all of the digital marketing, you got your ad, SEO, referral, all these things, you have to have the capacity for it, to learn all those things, to stay on top of all those things. Even if you look at like social media,
Mhm.
in order to be great at social media, you need to know Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter. It's too much, but if you just focus on one thing, just Twitter, you become a super, because then you are going to Twitter conferences, you are maybe partnering with them in some sort of way, or collaborating with them in some sort of way. So you know what's happening in Twitter, and you are great. Like, Twitter.
Right.
And that's how it felt with digital marketing. It was just too much. It was too much. It was all the changes. With email, that's my jam. That's all I do. All my journals, all of my memberships, all of my subscriptions, it's email. I know email. That's what I can do. Um, but I think when I was high level, one of the shifts was scarcity, right? When you're trying to do too many things, it's almost like that scarcity mindset. If I can't serve someone this way, they will go somewhere else,
Right.
right? If I can't um, do their social media for them, and that's what they want, then they will go somewhere else, and I will have no money. As
Right.
opposed to, I don't do all those things. Like, even with email, I don't write emails. I don't write emails, and it's not being above doing it or anything like that. It's just, I rather show you how you can do it, and then you be great. Like, I'm still going to always want it more than you. So I'm going to do the additional learning. I'm going to do um, the other things that that's not your jam. You don't want to be an email super. So we'll
Right.
still have a relationship,
Right.
but you don't have to be in my forever funnel in order for us to have a good relationship. So for me, like focusing on one thing, I do better with focus. When I'm not focused, it's a mess for everybody. So I avoid it.
Nice. I like that you broke that down. I like that you know what you do best. I like that you know the impact that you can have with what you do best, because again, you said something that's very key. You said that you don't do social media, right? You don't do these specific things. And a lot of times, like you said, with business, when you hear the, oh, I don't do this, oh, I don't do that, I don't do this, it's kind of like a disqualifier. But
Right,
in your case, it's actually qualifying you,
right,
because now it's like, okay, then what do you do? And
right,
oh, I do email.
right,
Like, I know without any doubt, this is the thing that I can do for you that will change your business. And I think that that's what's important, is like, how much that can impact someone's business. And I think that that's really cool, because you're really seeing that, like, okay, I'm not trying to jump through the hoops with you. I'm not trying to pretend like I'll manage your social media. And this specific episode, again, it's for entrepreneurs or business owners who have digital marketing or have got into digital marketing and kind of got lost in that space, right?
sure.
One of the oldest marketing tools before mailing was door to door,
Yeah,
right? And now there was a mailing, and emailing is like the next best thing to that. You can obviously get phone calls, but you have to buy a list for the phone calls. So people identify that, hey, I'm kind of interested in what you do somewhat, and they end up on your mailing list. Now, they become a potential client every single time, right? They
right,
become a potential client for every single new product that you launch. They may not be a client for every product that you launch, but you never know. So that's why
sure.
they're potential. And so one of the questions I want to ask you is, a lot of entrepreneurs find it difficult, me included, building that email list. What are some of the ways that you found that help people build their list a lot better?
Um, the number one way is just ask. It's really that simple, just um excuse me, just asking. When you're having, conversations with folks, and you know that you have content, if not, a product or service, but like content that you think they would appreciate. You're talking to somebody at a networking event, and they say, I have this thing launching, or they're going on and on and on about a new law or regulation, or something new in happening in government, whatever. And they are really into it, right? And it's something that you talk about too, saying, hey, you know what? I put out content once a week, and we got some of the same thoughts and ideas. Like, would you like to get that email? And here's the QR code to do it. Like, it's easy. I think sometimes we overthink it. You know,
I
it's an
definitely
ask.
overthink it.
Yeah, just ask. If you have something that someone needs or wants, or they don't yet know that they need it or want it, but they could appreciate it, just ask. Ask. And it can be in person. It can be on LinkedIn. You see someone's um, article or their latest post, and it aligns with what you talk about anyway.
Right.
Send a DM and say, you know what, I'm talking about this this week, and I'd love for you to, what your opinion would be. Would you like to join my list? Um, so that would probably be the easiest way, the most non-creepy way to do it. Like, don't try to dupe anybody or bamboozle anybody into getting into your world. A lot of times they're talking to you, they're communicating with you. They want
Right.
to know more about what you do, and in a way that's not it's not too much.
Yeah.
Like an email you can open when you want to. You can read as much of it as you want to. You can do it in your own time.
Right.
No one can see, or no one's necessarily looking to see if you reacted to it, or you commented on it, or you saved it, or whatever.
Right.
So I would say just sticking to that. Just ask a few people a week, and you'll build a list. And if you have something that you think is shareable, something that they need, like a checklist or some other kind of thing, just offer it. You put it out there and say, I have this thing. I know you want it. I know you're gonna love it.
Right.
And then they say, You're right, I do. And here's my email, and let's do it."
Okay. Now, with that, expanding on that part right there, is email marketing always about selling?
No.
And see, that's something that I know that me and a lot of other people that, get into email marketing or have gotten into email marketing, I've always found it to be very deterring because I'm like, I don't got anything to sell them right now. So it would be like, all right, what am I making a fluff thing for? But, and I wanted to address this. I've, since learned that, but I wanted you to address it because this is your expertise. What are some types of content that people can share with their email list or people who they want to target for their email list? What are some types of content they can share that would allow the person to be brought into their world without feeling like they're being sold to all the time?
Okay, so I have a few different answers for that. So
Okay.
the first one is to the first part of your question. It is not, it's probably the least selling of them all. And the reason being, it has the highest ROI. It does, of all of the marketing options. However, it's so different in that you can build real relationships with people,
Hmm.
like real relationships. Like, you can ask someone, "How's your day?" And that's the email. You know, um, like the NASA thing that happened earlier. It was postponed. Um, Putting out an email saying, "I was waiting too." Like, I wanted to see it too. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings about it? And people reply. Like, they reply, and you build these relationships. And when you do sell something, it's because they feel like you want them to have it. You think it would be helpful. You think that it would be valuable, right?
Right.
So they buy because it's this belief that you have my best interest at heart. We've built this relationship. Um, and you don't sell every day. Like, you build a relationship through the week, the weekend. Hey, I have this thing. If they don't buy, you just go back into even if they do buy, you go back into hey, I have this thing, or things I want you to know. And then here's this thing that will help support that. So that's the first part.
Gotcha.
Um, and then what was the second part of your question?
The second part of my question are what are some ways, well, you kind of covered both, but the second part was what are some things that you can kind of send people to keep them engaged without feeling like you're pushy selling, but you kind of gave two just now.
You know what? Honestly, hey, everybody, hey. You can have, if you have a blog post, or like you have a podcast, you can have that transcript, or that extended version of it, or that, behind the scenes, or the what didn't make the cut. Um,
Right.
or it could be really just a few paragraphs, or a short conversation of why this person, or why this conversation, or how is it relevant to something else.
Yeah.
um or it could just be a conversation that you would have that maybe wasn't a full episode. It was a thought, or you read an article, and the article was really interesting, and you would probably do the same thing. Like, email marketing should not be your whole marketing strategy, right? That's
Right.
crazy. Um, it has to be part of a bigger plan. So you might share something on LinkedIn with a few sentences on Facebook, but like an expanded version on an email,
Okay.
of what you thought about it. Because folks that join your email list, especially if you are a small business owner or an entrepreneur, you are a thought leader in whatever it is that you do, right? So what are your thoughts on it? Lead the conversation.
Hmm.
Say, hey, all these conversations about like student loans, right? What do you think if you are an entrepreneur or a small business owner that was able to propel their business or your business, or move it forward in any kind of way based on your education? Do you feel this way or that way? Do you feel like we shouldn't pay it back? Do you think we should pay it back? Do you think it didn't serve you? Whatever it is, and it doesn't have to be controversial.
Right.
Everyone talks about things in different ways, and um, they know their audience, but you can have just conversations,
Right.
until you have that product or that service. You can just really lead the conversation with the thought that's in your superpower, right?
Right.
And whatever is your jam, um, whatever they expect you to lead on, not stuff you're
Right.
not supposed to lead on.
Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
stay away from stuff you don't know anything about, because that could go terribly wrong as far as the replies, but then also unsubscribes. You might be spam depending on who it is and what it
Yeah.
is. But you can just have some conversations. That's it.
Now, do you think it is if it's within the realm of what you do you think it's okay to be controversial in your email marketing? Like intentionally controversial, like to start the conversation to be controversial, or like to pick different opinions? Like, do you advise to stay away from that though?
You know your audience, right? You know how much they can stand.
Yeah.
You know their sensitivities. You should, to some extent. Um, so the majority of my market is female. So there are some sensitivities to certain things, and my I am a conflict adverse person to begin with. Like, I have strong thoughts, but my goal is never to make someone feel like I'm attacking them,
Right.
right? So I wouldn't naturally do that in email. I'm not like an internet thug, like I do all the stuff on the internet, and then you meet me in person, it's different.
Right.
Um, so I just wouldn't naturally do it.
Yeah.
And if I do have what do you think? I kind of leave my thoughts out of it and kind of gauge the room,
Hmm.
but I'm usually kind of in the middle anyway. Like, I can see both sides. I
Right.
wouldn't, I wouldn't, um, I wouldn't alienate folks. If you have a list of folks, which is different than, say, followerships, right? Like, followers, where they think, the outfit that you have on is nice, or the person that you're with is pretty or handsome, or they like the beach in the behind, in your picture. When someone subscribes to your email list, they genuinely are interested
Right.
in what you're going to send them, and it might not be a visual that you're going to get. It might just
Right.
be, you know, um, something that you're just smart about, right? So if they are genuinely interested as you as a person, and what they can learn from you, how they can connect with you, starting a fight is not okay. It's not cool. It's not.
Right.
It's not fair. It's just not nice. Why would you do that? Now, you might have a brand that like to rock the boat.
Hmm.
Those folks, they expect you to rock the boat. You don't rock the boat, they're leaving. So it
Right.
depends on your brand. It depends on why folks are there. It depends on who you are. Email allows you to be, in my opinion, um, yourself. You as your natural self.
Hmm.
You know. So if that's your personality, it should be in your email. If you are, and I've seen brands, I follow some, that they just like to start stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes it's just in a way that's funny, right? It's just
Yeah.
meant to make you laugh and um, start your day good. But if that's not your energy, I you know if it's your energy. But I wouldn't say, I want to see how people how they're going to react. Like that's a terrible plan,
Right.
you know. So
Okay, that makes sense. And the reason I asked that question is because I receive emails sometimes that kind of pull me into controversial spaces, and I'm like, "Why are you sending this to me?" Or and it's
yeah.
like there's there's so much freedom when it comes to receiving these emails, and it feels like people can send whatever they want, but in
Mm.
fact, they really can't, right?
No, 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 no. No, there's a lot of laws and regulations that kind of protect you as a subscriber and protect you as the person sending the emails.
Mhm.
But just having couth, having manners, having internet etiquette or netiquette, as they like to call it.
Etiquette.
Yeah. Just I don't know the best way to describe it. Like just being fair to people. Now, there's a difference between you know, emails that are meant to build relationships and engage, and emails that are transactional. Like they
Right.
want to get you to buy something, and they might come off controversial, right? It might be, here are all the reasons you are still fat, and the goal is for you to buy that diet pill or buy that exercise, whatever,
Right.
or whatever it is that they're selling, right? And it can come off like, who are you talking to?
Right.
And you might not like it. But when you're thinking about people that I think of subscribers as friends, I
Mm.
think of them as supporters, like you support what I want to talk about, what I
Right.
do, what I'm interested in. So, being fair and being kind, um, like you would with anybody in real life, anyone you but there are things to protect you. And you can unsubscribe if you don't like it. You could report it as spam depending on what it is.
Yeah.
But we're not really we don't have as much room as we think to send what we want, you know.
Gotcha.
And some folks don't know what to do with the information, so they just close it out. They might unsubscribe if they know that that's an option.
Yeah.
Um, and they might report it as spam if they know if it's an option. Some folks don't know that that's an option.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can't do what we want. Not really.
Okay. No, and because the reason I asked that question because sometimes it seems like they can. Like sometimes you get emails and they're kind of like wacky, like what? Or
Oh,
like
they
you'll get
try it. Yeah, they
yeah,
try
you'll
it.
get like a ton of emails like in one day. You'll get like those countdown emails, like, oh, we're an hour away from this course or 20 minutes away from this. And it's like, how many times a day can you email me based on the policies in place for email and digital marketing. And so is there anything in place that talks about the amount of times or the consistency at which you can contact an email subscriber without them responding?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So no, from the standpoint of the person sending the email or the organization or whatever.
Mhm.
You can send as many emails as someone can stand, right?
Mm.
However, you have to be fair and transparent about how you're going to send emails. So if you say, join my newsletter list, I send an email every month on the first. That's what you are saying that you're going to do. Now you can add some copy in there that I send also blog post, or I send additional information a few times a week.
Right.
Um, and you should, if you have a launch going on, have it in the at the bottom of the email that says, hey, I'm going to be sending some emails about this new thing I have. You can unsubscribe from that and still get the newsletter. Now, some Some folks send emails and they don't do that. But you have a responsibility to say, this is what I'm sending you, and this is how often I'm sending it. And if you don't want it, you can unsubscribe. Now, not everyone knows that they are supposed to do that. That's where
Right.
kind of the problem happens. But they can send as many as they want. Now
Okay.
you can unsubscribe if you notice somebody sends an email. I subscribed to something I found. I thought it was so cool at first, and then I realized he emails every day, like
Yeah.
twice a day,
Yeah.
and I can't. I just I didn't want that what he was offering that much. Like I wanted
Yeah.
it periodically, a little here and there.
Yeah.
Now I'm overwhelmed, like he's overwhelmed me. Now you know um it's paralysis by analysis, like you gave me too much.
Right.
Now I can't even do the thing that you said I could do. Like I just
Right.
can't do
Right.
it. So
Yeah.
um I haven't yet unsubscribed. I just put them in a folder, but it's a lot of emails, and I only subscribed maybe like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's a lot of emails. But you have the option just to say, I can't stand it.
Right.
you know um, I think you're great, I think you're awesome, and you can unsubscribe and they can't ask you why.
Let's just be friends. Let's just be friends. I know no
Yeah,
more
yeah.
email friends. Let's just be friends when we see each other.
You know what, email is like that, those folks that you run into that just talk all the time, and you
Right.
try to avoid them in Starbucks because if they see you, they're going to have a long conversation every single time, so you
Right.
avoid them,
Right.
or you just change your Starbucks. you know
Change the whole
it's the same thing
Starbucks.
with email, right? It's
Right.
the same thing. It's like, you know what, they it's too much.
Yeah. I think that like sometimes there's certain people who I get a lot of emails from and I love it, right? Like for instance,
Yeah.
Neil Davis. He's a great not even salesperson. He's a great information provider. Like he gives a lot of information. He shares a lot of best practices. So typically when I get an email from Neil Davis or the circle of CEOs that he's a part of, I like it, right? Because even if he's giving offering something, a lot of times it's like, hey, grab my free ebook, or hey, check this thing out that I did to increase my business by this amount. And then when you click the link, there's actually a video of him talking about what he did, not some, landing page to upsell you. And I mean, he has
Sure.
his upsells in there, but he provides the value he says he's going to provide in the email that he sent you. And I love when people actually deliver on that. When you say, hey, check out this thing, and you get to that thing, there's no upsell to get access to the thing. I love that. And so
Hmm.
people like that, I can, I don't mind getting 2 or 3 emails a day from Neo Davis because I'm gonna open 2 or 3 of those, for the most part. People like Grant Cardone, he's another one that sends a lot of, messages out. And a lot of times, some of them are really helpful. Some of them are, hey, we got this $1 million training, don't miss it. It starts in an hour. And I get that every 2 days. And I'm like, okay, is there a way to unsubscribe from just this one? Because I'm not coming to that specific training. But there's other people who are just badgers and badgers and badgers, and I have to unsubscribe. And then it's like, how are some of these people even getting my email, right? Like, I don't even know how I got on your list. I don't want anything you got going on. And so we talked about what to send, how to be respectful and tactical, and how often you send, and how to be yourself when sending. I want to talk about 2 more things regarding email marketing, and I want to dive into some more stuff
Yeah.
regarding you. So the next thing is, you said email is a great place for you to be yourself.
Mhm.
What I'm discovering, there's a lot of AI copy devices now. Like there's
Yeah.
copy.ai, there's speech there's a lot of different platforms that help people write their emails, but it's not their own voice. Do you
Right.
think that it's better to use something like that, or do you think it's best to keep it in your own words?
So I would say the latter, because if this is your thing, right? Whatever your business is, whatever product or service, whatever your model is, there's more where that came from, right? So if the challenge isn't content, it's just maybe how to put it together, then you can do something very simple like putting your voice to text on and just talking. You know, you figure if you think of one person, just one, that is your person that you're sending the email to, right? Even if you're sending it to everybody.
Right.
And, you know, whomever they are, you just say, hey, usually my email, when I do the voice to text, is usually like, hey, girl, hey, let me tell you what happened. And this is what I read and dot, dot, dot. That's the email. You know, like it's just a matter of sitting down and just doing um, the hard part, you know, instead of
Right.
writing it out and worrying about, did I say it right? Did I, you know, did I punctuate it right? Just
Right.
do a voice to text. You figure email, most of the email should be about 150 words or less. You know, it shouldn't, or fewer. It shouldn't be, you know, super scroll. You know, when folks have to scroll, because you know everybody's on their phone nowadays. So
Right.
if they have to scroll and scroll and scroll, unless it's a good story, you're done.
Right.
It's over. So
Okay.
doing the voice to text, and that's the email. You know,
Okay.
the AI is they are helpful and they
Hmm.
have value for the folks that haven't yet figured out their voice. But if you
Gotcha.
have a client already, or you have someone that expressed interest and you just was able to, you know, go to town about whatever, you can do the email in your phone. You can
Gotcha.
write it, you could do the voice to text, whatever works for you. But if you have a client, you've had these conversations in some capacity, you know, to some
Yeah.
extent. So you already know what to say. It's just a matter of what you want to say, not so much what to say. You
Right.
know, you're more worrying about um, getting to the point as opposed to rambling.
Right.
That makes sense.
No, that makes complete sense. And I think that that answers that question, not just for me. I believe me personally, I've tried copy.ao. I tried another one, and for some, like whenever I do those, I feel icky, right? I feel like I
Because you
wouldn't
cheated.
I wouldn't talk like this. And I wouldn't I wouldn't talk like this. Now, if I was in college and I needed a paper written, of course I'd use copy.ai AI. But for email, like you said, I feel like it's your connection to the person who sent it. And if it doesn't sound like them, if I'm on my, my talk show every day saying be dope and be great, peace, and then in my email, my farewell is like, have a wonderful day, sir. Goodbye. Like that's not me. That's not
Yeah,
me,
I'd call you
man.
out.
I would call
I
me
do
out.
it.
I'd be like, yo, don't email me no more. I would tell myself not to email me no more. And so the last question I have for you regarding email marketing, I think, is what platform would you say, right? Because we talked about sending multiple types of email content, and a lot of it is not generating income, but most email platforms cost money per month. So what platform do you recommend that people use that is a fair trade-off between being able to send a lot of emails, but also being cost effective to where you're not being charged a ton of money for those times in between when you're not selling or when you're not generating income?
I don't.
You don't recommend one?
No. And the reason being everyone's capacity is different, right? So whether that's time, energy, or money, we all have different capacities and they change. You know, some months of the year you have more money than you have time and energy, and some months of the year you have more energy than you have time or money, right?
Right.
So choosing a platform not based on how much it costs you, like you
Hmm.
should know your ROI.
Hmm.
And your ROI for email would look like the time that you spend writing an email. If you hire someone, um, say someone on Fiverr, to do the graphic and design or to write the copy, then you think about the the cost of the email service provider, MailChimp, MailerLite, SendBlue, whatever it is. When you think about all of your ROI, not so much focusing on how much is this going to bring me straight away, especially in the beginning, but how am I going to build this list? Because the money's in a list. If you have no list, you have no money.
Right.
And once you build a list, what kind of relationship do you want to have? Right. So while it seems like the longest way around the sun, you have to really think about what are the goals with email. It could be monetary, but it could be casting the net wide. I need 1,000 people, 1,000 folks to know that I can help them do this.
Right.
And then once they know and they appreciate what I know, that they now know, I'm going to sell them this thing. And everyone's goals look different, but I wouldn't say go with MailChimp because you can get the free version. Granted, you don't have as much of a risk there,
Right.
but that doesn't necessarily mean that, say, Active Campaign is not a good fit.
Right.
Active Campaign, they all are different and they all have a different learning curve that you're going to have to get to know, which is going to slow down the process of making money. If it
Right.
takes you a month to learn the email service provider, it takes you a month, and then also just as long as it can do the things that you need it to do.
Right.
If you have, you want a list of folks that are coming from that's local, and then a list of folks that are, international, or a list of folks that want your book, and a list of folks that want your products or services. You have to think about what that looks like.
Right.
And can the email service provider do it? Because depending on how much you want and need, you might have to pay to be served that way.
Right.
So not thinking about the money much as what do you need? You can have your good, better, best plan.
Mm-hmm.
It would be good if it has this, but it would be the best if it can do that. And you
Right.
grow into it. Your list grows and the price point grows. So what you come in with can change within a few weeks, depending on your plan, your strategy.
Right.
If the plan or focus is to go to, 5 networking events and get, 50 people on your list, and you're starting with, say, constant contact at 500, and you're at 501, you're not paying the same price as you did yesterday.
Right.
So
Yesterday's
not thinking
price.
about it's a whole new thing.
Right.
So just figuring out what the goal is, and then you think about, okay, the goal is this. What is what are your products and services? Because they should be making the money to pay for your email service provider.
Right.
So if you don't have products or services, then the goal is not necessarily to make money.
Right.
It could be to build a list. And if you have, products and services that something you're launching, yada, 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 then, that kind of looks different. And how many people do you forecast to make the money that you want to make?
Right.
Because you can't have 50 people. You can have 50 people on your list that reach your goals, depending on what they are. But if your goal is to make $1 million this year, 50 people, depending on what you're selling, it'll be an extraordinary situation.
Right.
But you might need 5,000 people if you have something like some low-hanging fruit, like a $99 product or something.
Right.
So it depends. Figuring out the goal, then kind of building a strategy around it, and then seeing what email service provider makes sense, because some don't make sense. Just to go to MailChimp because it's free, but you want to send emails and have them queued, every Tuesday at 8. You can't do that with a free plan with MailChimp. You got to pay to schedule. So you got to figure that part out.
Okay.
But I don't have one is best. They all, that's why they're competitors, right? They all have the same things. in different delivery formats, right? Different ways of giving it to you, different, extras. So you have to figure out what makes sense. And they're
I like
all
that.
great in some way. And then you can change your mind. You can
Right.
export your list of 5,000 and go somewhere else
Right.
because it makes more sense later.
I like that answer. And I love the fact that you took the politically correct and safe road there. However, I agree, right? And I asked that question kind of in a leading way, but I really asked that question because I know people who use everything, and I don't want someone to feel like they're wrong for using this or they're wrong
Right.
for using that, or this is the only one that you can or can't use. So I'm glad that you gave that information because it does free up that obligation to say, well, I want to use MailChimp. A lot of people say, get your site built with Wix, then get MailChimp, then do this, then do that. And then, when you hear these things on these business conversations, it's almost like it's not even a suggestion. They're telling you like get MailChimp versus see what email provider works best for you. So I like your answer. So we talked about email a lot, and the reason we did that is because a lot of businesses right now are really looking to grow, right? And even not even just businesses, authors, bloggers, people who are sick of the algorithms changing and them losing their ability to be seen or heard or interact with their audience. And they want to kind of take it into their own wheelhouse. And so that's why I really wanted to break down email a lot in this episode because you are the guru of the emails, and I wanted to kind of dig into that a lot. So it did take up a decent amount of our time. So the last couple minutes of our conversation is going to be a little bit more rapid fire. So I hope you're ready.
I'm
Are you
ready.
ready? Okay, great.
Sort of.
So the first question, the next question is, what is the most interesting job you've ever had? And, and what is something that you learned there that you didn't expect to learn?
Geico.
Okay.
Geico. So Geico and I had a tumultuous relationship, right? Because they were they built my confidence. Like they really gave me everything that I needed to become a serious, ultimately full-time entrepreneur because their time schedule is crazy. Like you had your 1 weekday off, 1 weekday in day off. You had 2 15 minutes and a 45 minute. You you had X amount of training. They hire like 4 out of every 100 people.
Wow.
So if you get in, you got to feel good, It was crazy once you got in, but it was so disciplined, which
Mhm.
I needed. I had already started a business, but like that discipline, that was my best and worst job. I was in claims. I just couldn't emotionally handle it. But it was my best job because now I'm on it. I'm on it. So yeah.
Okay. I like that. So big shout out to Geico for being the best worst job ever for her specifically, not for anybody else. No
Right. Not for
shot at
anybody else. It was
not no
me.
shot at Geico. I want to
No.
make sure I have no liability on the show for that. Next question is currently, and since I'm privy to some insider trading information regarding your life, um, do you do anything interesting with universities at all?
Just ask your question, sir.
Okay, so in the introduction, this really wasn't addressed. However, Kenyana is she said she's active in the educational space. That's how she put it. But I want you to give people a breakdown of what that even means and what educational spaces are you affiliated with right now. If you could do, and I'll make it easy for you. You can give us the abridged version.
Okay. So I love academia. I love the discipline of academia. Um, so I either partner or collaborate with different colleges. around. So I'm an adjunct professor at Madai in the business department and the interdisciplinary studies department. So I teach undergraduate and graduate students. Um, and uh, um, just so folks know what's happening, you're sending me random stuff in the chat.
Colleges, random
So
universities.
with UB, I'm a strategic partner for the Business and Entrepreneur Partnership incubators. So that's Baird and Amherst, and the CBLS, which is here downtown. I'm on the President's Advisory Committee for Buff State. So they have community initiatives and uh, we'll call it that, with the college. So being a part of that. With the University of Phoenix, I'm a doctoral student there. And I'm also their National Society of Leadership and Success, facilitating their leadership certification programs. And with Harvard, which is what he was putting in the chat, I work with, I'm an educator with Harvard Business Publishing, which is an affiliate of Harvard University, the Harvard Business School, with their simulations. So they have entrepreneurial and small business, or just business in general, simulations. So facilitating those and putting them together for graduate students, undergraduate students, so they can get a bit of experience with a business before they start.
Okay. Now, if y'all heard everything she just said, y'all understand why I needed to ask that question. Prior to this conversation, I was strictly advised to not ask those questions.
Right.
The reason that I asked those questions is because sometimes we are sitting on greatness that will inspire other people that we don't necessarily feel comfortable talking about, right? And it's not that it's a bad thing. It's not that it's necessarily something that's negative. It could be amazing, but sometimes it's uncomfortable for us to talk about it because we don't see it how other people see it, right? But there's somebody somewhere who's like, man, if I could just get my foot in the door at this place, it would change my life, right? If I could, see an example of someone who looks like me, whether black, white, red, yellow, male, female, whatever. If I just knew somebody who looked like me that kind of did what I'm looking to do, it would change my perspective. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I want to ask you those questions, because I really wanted you to share that, because you are running a business full time, as well as being a doctoral student, as well as being affiliated with all of these universities, prestigious universities, might I add. And it's important for people to see that. It's important for people to know that you can go higher, right? You can hit that goal. You can meet that dream. Like, it doesn't have to stop at this one level. It can stop, and there's nothing wrong with that, with it stopping at this level when you continue in the, make this level your thing. But it's also okay if you want to take it higher. And I really admire that you have those credentials, even though you don't like talking about them, which is cool. And I understand why. I want that to be an inspiration factor for somebody watching today who's kind of felt like they've reached a ceiling in their current spaces, but everyone around them is telling them, oh, you're fine, you're done enough. You don't got to do anything else. And they can hear, like, you know what, I'm doing this and this and this and this and this in conjunction with running 81, 8111 and
18.
8118, excuse me,
I knew you was gonna
8118.
mess it up. I
I was
knew
gonna
it.
mess because my birthday is 11/18, so I'm throwing my whole thing off. So, but I wanted you to share that for that specific reason, and I didn't want to tell you why prior to that, because I didn't want you to prepare some answer that was curated for my purpose. So that's why I wanted to ask you that question, because it's inspirational for people who really want to continue to go higher. So kudos to you for doing all the things that you do and finding a way to still be a human, if that's even what you are at this point, because I
Yeah,
don't see how.
we here. I'm human.
All right, fine. If you say so, man.
If anybody knows, it's you.
If I start seeing eyes blinking like this, like Men in Black, I know something. So all right, we're out of the tough question space. Okay, we're in the clear. This is the home stretch. So now I'm gonna ask you a very personal question. Very personal question. And I've known you for years. So I hope you're nervous about what this question may be.
Yeah, I've known you what, 22, 23 years? Yes, I'm nervous.
Yeah. Okay, great. So the question is, if you could be any animal, what animal would you be and why?
Uh, I would say maybe a bird.
Hmm.
I think I'm more of like a bird. I don't necessarily want to be in everything. I just want to be around it.
Hmm.
And then when it's weird like this, I can just fly away.
Oh, it's weird because I asked you this question. Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, I think a bird. I think birds are really cool. I think they're cool. I
Is
would
it
be a
because
bird.
you like? Is it because you just like dropping on people whenever you feel like it? Like whenever they make you mad, you just drop on them. Is that what it is?
I hadn't thought of that, but no, that's not the energy. I just
Okay. Cool. Cool. Birds
I
are
don't know.
dope though. I like birds. I like
Yeah, I
birds.
don't have a particular bird I want to be, but I would be a bird.
Yeah, birds are interesting. I always be wondering like what they saying about me when they be like tweeting.
Right before they drop on you.
Not when they drop on me, no, but just when, just period. Like when you ever sit on your porch and you hear birds just chirping away. Like I wonder if they talking about people. Like, girl, look at him over there with the.
Probably. Yeah,
um.
probably.
All right. So this last question, this next question is before I go here, I'm gonna give you a chance to ask me a question. If you have any question, one question for me.
Oh yeah.
One question.
So you've been interviewing a bunch of folks, and some you know
Mhm,
well, some you don't. You know me well.
mhm.
We have been friends for beyond 2 decades.
Yes.
And um,
Teenagers.
yes,
Sheesh.
which which do you prefer? Because you have the person that you know,
Mhm.
and then you have the person that you don't know. Which are you the most comfortable with?
That's an interesting question. I gotta answer that in two different ways. So when it comes to this part of the interview, I'm most comfortable with people that I don't know.
Oh, them asking you a question?
No, so like the rapid fire when I'm asking you, like,
Oh, okay.
what animal or cartoon character, stuff like that. I'm most comfortable with people that I don't know because when I ask that question to people that I do know, my mind is trying to beat them to what they might say because of based on how I know them. So I'm like, all right, I wonder what she's gonna say. If she's gonna say what I'm saying, a shark, like, or a certain cartoon character, I'll have it in my mind, like this person reminds me of this character. And also I'm more comfortable in this part of it with the people that I don't know because I like to learn. I like to, get to know new things about people. In the actual more business side of the conversation of the show, I'm more comfortable with people that I do know because I love learning about them and the things that they do in ways that I didn't know they did what they do. So it's more engaging for me in that space. So it's kind of a 50-50 mix. But if I had to say overall which one I'm more comfortable with, I'd say people I know.
All right.
I'm
That's
more
fair.
I'm more eager to interview people I don't know.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
but only when I'm really digging into something that I want to learn as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I'm still comfortable with everybody, but I feel like when I get to certain questions, I'm way more comfortable with people I don't know because I feel like we've had conversations that could already answer some of these questions for me, but I'd be
Yeah.
putting you on the spot to answer for other people. So, yeah.
All right. That was
So
my one question.
that was easy. All right, cool. Bet. All right. So my last thing for you to do is tell people where they can find Kenyana David online, how they can join your email, all of those things. Tell people where they can find you, how they can contact you, and what services you provide that they may be able to, get into.
So I'll lead with, you can find me pretty much everywhere with Kenyana David. And I encourage you to start there. Email doesn't have to be a jam, but I'm a big person on connecting. I'm not a salesperson. My goal is not to put you in a funnel as opposed to, let's have a normal conversation. I prefer it with coffee. But everything's Kenyana David. If you are interested in 8118, then 81 the number, 18 the word, and it's pretty much everywhere with that. And if you are interested in working together, if you are an entrepreneur or small business owner, male or female, if you're a female, you have the Fem Academy. And we can always connect. I can let you know when open houses and orientations, and what's going on with that. If you are not, or you're not, that's not, the thing that you're aligning with, there are different opportunities around, particularly Buffalo, that you can come to. Most of them are free or open to the public, and you can just kind of see, what that looks like. And then the things that are paid, you can see what that looks like as well. But I would say the first thing is, send me a DM, connect with me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my jam, not so much Facebook. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on all of them. But if you want to get to me faster, LinkedIn, and just, send a normal message and say, hey girl, hey. That's it. Just don't be weird,
I saw you on the Emery show and you said you was a bird. So
yeah, don't say that.
You wanted to be a bird. So I was wondering if you could talk to me about wings and stuff. No. So yeah, definitely reach out to Kenyana. She's super dope and she's super friendly and she does a lot of things. And we really didn't even get to touch on everything that she does. She's probably on the board of other committees that you are familiar with that we didn't even get a chance to talk about. So I just want to thank you for coming through today, kicking it with me, obviously, and really being able to share perspective on email marketing. I dived into that a lot today because, again, a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs really struggle in that space.
Yeah.
And if you look at what's coming to your inbox on how to use email marketing, you're probably going to suck at it. Because a lot of people, so I wanted Kenyana to really break it down and thank you for breaking it down and some of the do's and don'ts and how to's and how to pick the proper platform for you and your business. I appreciate you a lot.
Oh, sure. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Finally having me on after umpteenth people. I appreciate you. This was fun.
You want me to tell people why you didn't come on yet?
Nah.
Okay, great. So,
but you can tell them how I did. Put me in a better light.
All right. So I'll tell the whole story real quick, 30 seconds. I sent her the link to join, to book her date weeks and weeks ago. And she hasn't. And then the episode that was supposed to launch today, I thought I lost it. And I was like, oh no, I don't have my episode. She was like, well, I'll fill in. I'm like, thank you so much. And then as soon as we agreed to do the episode, I found no one. I thought I lost. So it happened how it was supposed to happen. It was, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you for being so, willing to help a friend out in need. I appreciate you for that. So thank you, Kenyana, for, sharing your amazing perspective and all of your tactical genius with the world today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Before we end it, big shout out to Dope in Real Life. As always, Dope in Real Life LLC. Get you a shirt, get you a sweatsuit, get you something. Tell them I sent you because we are dope in real life. I believe that I'm dope in real life as well as online, but who knows what you think? Leave it in the comments if you think I'm not dope in real life.
You
But
don't want that.
don't do
Don't
that. Don't do that. Don't do
don't
that. Lie to
encourage
me.
that.
Lie to me. Tell me I'm okay. But no, thank you for watching the episode. Thank you for sticking with us through the whole thing. I appreciate it. I hope you learned something about email marketing that you did not know, or something about myself or Kenyana that you did not know prior to this episode. And as always, be dope and be great. Peace.